Hey everybody, and welcome to Project Premium Harvest. My name is Matt. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the Roundhill weekly distributions for the week of October 7th through the 11th. Same thing with the YieldMax weeklies, in addition to the YieldMax Group B funds. Let's get started. If you guys are new to the channel, the whole idea is I borrow money so that I make a monthly income. What does that mean? I took an $80,000 HELOC loan against a rental property I own, threw that money into Robinhood, borrowed against that $80,000 to make up $140,000, and then I invested into YieldMax high income ETFs. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get started. The first thing I like to show on my weekly updates is my Robinhood account value. This is more so that people see that I actually am investing in this strategy. I'm not just showing some random dividend tracker that someone could just type in a bunch of numbers and make it up. So for this week, my account value is at $104,577. When I first started this project, it was about at $102,355. So it's appreciated about $2,000, and I've already pulled out $22,000 to pay off the HELOC loan, but I'll kind of talk about the numbers later down the line. All right, but let's first talk about these Roundhill distributions. So for October 7th through the 11th, the Roundhill distributions for XDTE was about 20 cents. The distribution for QDTE was about 26 cents, almost 27. And then for RDTE, it definitely has dropped because the last couple of weeks it was at about 36 cents. Now it's at 24 cents. So maybe my assessment was right that they were trying to pump up the numbers to get some more participation in the fund. But now let's go talk about the YieldMax weekly ETFs. Okay, guys, for the YieldMax weekly ETFs, we have YMAX, and that distribution was about 20 cents. And then for YMAG, the weekly distribution was at 0.28 cents, which is actually pretty good. I definitely, that surprised me this week. But then let's discuss the YieldMax Group B funds. So you guys know I'm heavily invested in nvdy, and that distribution is at $1.09. With that distribution and the amount of shares I own, I'll make about $5,400 this week in premiums. But then continuing on, DIPS was at 68 cents a share. FBY was at 92 cents a share. That's actually pretty good. GDXY is at 60 cents. Babo, $1.29. JPMO, 37 cents. MRNY, 37 cents. And then actually for PLTY, Palantir, the YieldMax just came out with this new ETF. I got the email for it I think yesterday. I don't necessarily know much about Palantir, so it's one of those investments I'm just gonna kind of keep an eye on, but I really have no intent of investing into it. The only funds I would definitely look into investing just to kind of make myself my own private weekly ETF fund would be a ETF that's in the Group C. That's one of the funds I am missing, and I haven't really found anything I liked in there. So I'm definitely waiting to see if I find something I like, and then I'll invest for Group C. But for Group A, B, and D, I'm not really going to change my investments as of right now. But now that we got this administrative stuff out of the way, let's go to my trackers. All right, guys, now let's go over some of the project history. So when I first started this project, the HELOC loan was about $83,104. After this October, soon to be October 11th distribution, the HELOC loan is going to be dropped down to $57,418. These are some other variables I just track more for my own tracking purposes. But let's go discuss the number of shares I own when I first started this project to what it is now. So when I first started this project, tsly, I had 1,105 shares. And then after last week's distribution, I was able to buy some more. And currently I own about 1,447 tsly shares. So slowly these shares are going up and this premium should be going up. And my charts should reflect that. But we'll see. We'll talk about it. When I first started the project for nvdy, I had 4,681 shares. Now I'm at 4,997 with the distribution where I'm doing the 75-25 strategy. 25% I'm going to reinvest back into nvdy. So I should be able to buy about 55 shares. I'm kind of just generalizing right now because I don't know what the share price is going to be for tomorrow when I purchase these shares. So now we're talking about amzy. So amzy, haven't got distribution for the month of October, so nothing is going to change here, and neither is this core foundational holding, because for AMZ, I do my 50-50 strategy where 50% of the distribution I reinvest back into AMZ, and then the other 50% I invest into a core foundational holding. I consider this SPY, SCHD, or something that the actual share price doesn't move too much and it's stable. All right, so now let's look at my charts. All right, so the first chart we're going to look at is the individual YieldMax ETF Performance. This guy right here. So I was paid out for 2 different funds already, nvdy and tsly, and so let's kind of see what the results are. Let's talk about tsly first, because this is a fund where its performance is exactly as I was expecting. The more shares I've been buying, and roughly the distribution has been staying the same, and then the money has been going up. For nvdy, on the other hand, it's like the inverse curve, right? Where I started off very strong, and then as the weeks progress, I've kind of been getting less and less money, which is kind of sad because I wanted it to go up and up, right? So usually nvdy averages about $1.30 per share on a monthly basis, but for this month it was $1.09, which was a little bit overwhelming because NVIDIA itself has been going up. It was sad to see that the distribution kind of was very stagnant at close to $1. But anywho, it's still a decent chunk of change. That's $5,400 I didn't have before this week. So it's still a win in my book. But then let's go talk about the monthly premium growth. We're still missing amzy payment, but I'll do a monthly update video with all of the data later down the line. All right, so this is just the monthly premium growth over time. So this looks at all of the distributions for the 3 funds every single month. So as you can see, my first month in June, I made $8,813. And kind of as I was talking about with nvdy, there's a bit of like an inverse curve. Inverse curve, where because I'm so heavily invested into NVIDIA, it's pretty much tracking the progress of NVIDIA. Maybe amzy with its 2-month-long distribution coming up might bump this up a little bit from like 6,955 to something close like the 8,700, 9,000 level, but we'll see. We'll have to wait for about 2 weeks to find out if that's the reality or not. Okay, now let's talk about the XDTE distribution. All right, guys, for this week of 7 October through 11 October, I made a massive premium of $7.66. This is just kind of one of those auxiliary plays I'm doing. I'm not really investing a ton of money into this just yet. I initially want to buy about 100 shares of SPY before I start fully sending a lot of money into XDTE and or JEPI and JEPQ to have like that passive money coming in. Because the reason why I want to get 100 shares of SPY is I want to run a wheel strategy on SPY where I do every day or every other day 0 date time to execution calls. So I would technically make about an extra somewhere between $10 and $50 a day by running those type of calls. And then over a year, that'd be an extra $10,000. So between running the profit hit and run strategy is SPY 0 date to execution calls. Like I'm just going to be having a flow of money coming inside of the account. But speaking of profit hit and run, we'll talk about this chart a little bit. It's kind of ugly right now. I don't know if I like this or not. This format, I might just do a line graph and have 3 separate lines. I'll kind of play around it and see which one I like better. But all right, let's talk about profit hit and runs. So for my profit hit and run strategy, I have no update as of October, but the numbers for September are officially in, and in the month of September, I made an extra $870.48 of doing profit hit and runs, right? So that was my best month ever. I've only been doing it for about 2 months. And for October, I have a suspicion that it might be my best month, depending on if the plays run the way I want them to. But the only thing that's really left over from September is the YieldTE play I was working on. I bought YieldTE at an ex-dividend date, and I was anticipating a little bit of a pop because they had about $1 per share distribution. That pop never came, and YieldTE has been stagnated at like $10.40 a share, $10.50 a share. So I might have to hold this for 1 distribution or if just the fund goes up, I'd be happy to part with these shares at about $10.73. I own about 300 of them. If there's a distribution with YieldTEE, I plan on just throwing that money into XDTE. So it should be roughly about like $250 to about $300. And this is in the group C funds for YieldMax. So maybe I might just keep it. I don't know. It's hard to say what I want to do with YieldTEE because I just don't like it because the NAV erosion has been so high on these funds in this ETF where it's just kind of disgusting to look at. But the premium is really nice. So it's one of those things where you kind of just like close your eyes and look away, but you still want to look at it. You're like, I guess you're all right. Oh, and then what I do plan on doing for my plays for October is on the NVIDIA X dividend date, which is going to be tomorrow, maybe even the end of trading hours today, as I plan on buying somewhere between 500 to 1,000 shares of NVIDIA to do my profit hit and run. I'm looking to maybe get like a profit about 50 cents a share. So we'll see how that plays out. That's kind of what I want to do for this week with the profit hit and runs. All right, guys, I'm going to close up this video with a shout out to my brother, Mike. He is in charge of the Not Guru Investor channel, YouTube channel. He has like a different approach to investing than I do. For me, in my project, I took a lot of debt to potentially come up with a new strategy. My brother Mike, on the other hand, he's invested for the last 8 years to get up a sum of $200,000 for his account. And then he's borrowing against that with margin also into these YieldMax premium generating ETFs. So if you want like a different perspective of how that works, I definitely would give my brother's channel a view and a subscribe. But for me, I'm going to close out this video with that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys give me some likes, comments. Let me know what you think. I definitely am a little sad with the distributions for NVIDIA this week and this month, but it is what it is. I hope you guys do well and then enjoy your journey. Have fun on your journeys. Good luck on your journeys.